Hello and welcome everyone. This is going to be my first tutorial that I'll be doing for my digital literacy focus in EdTech 541. And the first program that I'm going to be using is going to be Sketchup, which used to be Google Sketchup, but it's now been sold or given away, I'm not sure, by Google. And I use it in a lot of my classes, and I find that it's a useful tool to use with middle school students and high school students. It gets them engaged in working on their projects. So I'm just going to show you a little bit about the interface here. On the side here we have a large tool set, which you need to go up to the top, and when you go to view toolbars, it might not be selected, so it's nice to select it. It gives you a few more options. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. On the middle here we have a gentleman who is there just to give us a reference of size. And in this program you can be very specific with sizes, but for this project I'm more concerned about the students using the program to design and set up a setting for a story. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just take myself off of the screencast, and I will give you a tutorial on SketchUp. Okay, stay tuned. Alright, I'm going to show you how to use SketchUp to have kids design and create a setting for a story. It's a 3D editing tool. I use it a lot in my class. It's much simpler than using AutoCAD, and kids tend to like it and they catch on to it very quickly. So in this scene I'm just going to introduce a building. And whenever you make whenever you make objects, you always start with a two-dimensional shape, and then you can use the push-pull tool to pull it into a 3D object. It's really nice once you have it set up. You can push down the scroll wheel and you can scroll around and see different sections of it and identify the different parts of the building. On the top, possibly we want to go to the top and we can put in a chimney. So we got, again, it's a push-pull tool that you can use. They'll use it a lot, using the push-pull tool. On the top of it, another tool that they'll want to use is the offset tool. When you click on the offset tool, it takes the perimeter of any object, and then you can pull in on it or push out on it. So in this situation, I'm going to just pull in, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the push-pull tool and push down on it. So now it looks like it's an actual vent or a chimney that goes on the top of this building. Down at the bottom we can put in a door, so I'm going to use the rectangle tool, put in a door, and then at this point we can I could take and create some windows. So I'm going to go up from this edge. So you can see that blue line it put in. That's a reference line where the program's fairly intuitive. It figures out what you're trying to line up. So above it I'm going to put a window, and then with the window again I'm going to go back and use the offset tool. So you can see I'm using a lot of the same tools over and over. I just want to show how you can use very few tools and get the kids started. Like I said, they're very intuitive. They're going to figure out the program faster than we can. So that just shows you how you can set up and make dimension in the in the building. Possibly around the top you'll want to use a pencil tool. So I'm going to come down again, refer to the top, and then it will give you the green line to show it's parallel. And from there I can do the same thing, go to the top, and I can run this line around the top of the building. Keep it nice and even. So just go around to the back, reference line, and then come around to this side. So hopefully if I've done this right, it's going to line up on this far edge. So they're all lined up. Excuse me. I can use the pull tool, and we can create a bit more depth in the top of this building. So that's just one building. They'll continue to work on it. On the front here we could put a street. So maybe we have Stanley. I always call him Stanley. He looks like Stanley to me. On the front street they can use the paint bucket tool. So down here we have an assortment of colors and shades and different textures. So I'm going to go to stone. So I'm going to make this building out of stone. And you can go ahead and go down to, you can see you have brick here too. Brick might be better. I'm going to go with brick. Brick might look better. And once you've designed the outside of a building, you could, students, sometimes they want to design the inside because possibly the scene's taken inside of a building. If that's the case, they might be better off not covering up all the sides of the building. So what they can do is they can come over here and go to translucent, and they can click on the side of a building. I'll just grab a color here. And once you create it as translucent, if they have a scene that happens inside of a building, then they're going to be able to see that. One more tip that I want to give is a lot of the time students don't want to work in squares. So if they want to make circular items, yeah, you can make a circular item like this. But once you have a circular item, sorry, I'm just going to pull up on it. Once you have a circular item, I'm going to just refer it to there so they're the same height. It's hard to do anything with them. It's very difficult to change them into a different shape or to cut them or to edit them. That's one drawback in SketchUp. But what you can do is they can work out of a square. So let's say I have a rectangle. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up on this. So they can work out of a rectangle, make a three-dimensional object, and then I'm going to go to the 2-arc tool. When I like using it because it puts a bend in. You can put a bend in your project. So you go to both sides here, and this is something that students have. I've seen students do, and then they'll take and push the top off. Okay, what happened there? Let's try this again. Undo, undo. We made a mistake with this line over here, so I'm just going to move in and grab the 2-arc tool again, bring it down, make the line, and I'm going to use a push-pull. And when you push, you should be able to get it to hit the face on the other side and disappear. There we go. So once it hits the face on the other side, it's removed, and then you have your, this is a ramp that you can create. So that's an easier way to make objects that are different shapes. So I could go and I could grab a pencil here, and I mean, I don't know exactly what I'm making here, but I'm just showing you what you could possibly do if you wanted. Okay, again, you could take and create an object and push a section of it out of the object. That's an easier way of making odd shapes than trying to do it out of a cylinder. So anyways, that gives the students the basics of how the program works. I always like to do this at the end. I have them use the letter tool. They'll put in their name, and it will get placed somewhere on the assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and put my name right here. And once it's on there, then as a teacher, you can easily find that name. All right, so we're almost done. The last thing I want to do, I'm just going to edit and move that back. You'll find undo is a very useful tool in this program. Students, if they mess up, just tell them to undo. Last thing I want to show you, they're finished the project, they're proud of it, they want to hand it in. So instead of handing in this file, they can turn it into a movie. If they go up to edit and, view, and they go to animation, they can create scenes. So the very first scene that I always ask the students to make is one where they have their name. So I'm going to go ahead and go to View, Animation, Add Scene. So that's the first scene. It shows up here. Then they can zoom out, and now they can show off their illustration and what it's all about. So, I mean, they could even do a screencast and they could describe it and move it around and explain the different viewpoints. So you can get different perspectives, bird's eye view, from the back, from the front, depending on how they want, how the story is being told. Once you set up and you create all of your scenes, so possibly those are all the scenes that the student wants in their final movie. Okay, once they're all done, then they won't save it as a save as. They'll go down to export and save it as an animation video. So if we do that, I'm just going to give it a name, Sketchup tutorial, and I'll save it on the desktop. So we'll go ahead and save it. What it's doing is and I explain this to the kids, it's going through and it's taking pictures one at a time as it's changing from one perspective to another. So in this case, there's 145 frames that are of photographs that are being taken, and when we watch them really quickly, then it looks like a video animation. So it looks very professional. The kids like it, and once they have this file, it's saved as an MP4 file, I believe, and it can be sent to you as a standalone file instead of having to open up the project in SketchUp. So I now have that on my desktop. I'm just going to pause and go open it up on the desktop. Alright, so here you see we have the SketchUp tutorial icon. It's an MP4 file. And what I do now is I have students turn this file into Google Classroom. But I'll go ahead and click on it, and you can see what the movie is going to look like. Sorry, I just had it on the wrong screen here. So there it is. SketchUp tutorial to make the scene for a story in language arts.